Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Desola Alafia and I'm a product designer and full stack web developer. Today I'm going to be going into a few questions that I get asked a lot on social media surrounding the tech industry, computer science, everything that I do, etc. So the questions in this video have been grouped into 5 different talking points. I'm going to start off with the tech industry, UX UI, aka product design, front-end development and full stack development, computer science as a whole, and then productivity. Without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into the video. So the first few questions are going to be about the tech industry. So I've got my computer here. So the first and most common question is how to break into tech. How did I break into tech and how can you break into tech? Honestly, I went down the traditional route. I did a computer science GCSE, computer science A-level, computer science degree, and I also ran a business that was related to my career. If you can't go down that route, there are so many other ways. Like one, doing different certifications related to the industry that you want to get into within tech, be software engineering, cybersecurity, DevOps. There's so many. The other route is by doing boot camps, which is very related to certifications as well. Sometimes you might get a certification at the end of a boot camp, sometimes you don't, but completing boot camps also help. Another way to break into tech is by having transferable skills from the industry that you already came from. People migrate from one industry to another all the time. So many skills that you pick up in work are transferable. So if you are able to transfer them into tech and apply for entry-level jobs, that's a great way to try and get into tech. If you're a bit younger and maybe you haven't been in an industry before, if you're coming straight from A-levels, you can do apprenticeships and internships. If you're at graduate level, you can also do apprenticeships. There are different grad schemes as well. Sometimes there are insight schemes. There are so many schemes right now surrounding tech because tech is hot right now. You can learn at home. There are so many self-taught developers. A lot of things are self-taught. Even as somebody that is a computer science graduate, whilst doing the degree, a lot of it was self-taught. Now that I'm out of the degree, I'm still very much self-taught. So there are just so many ways of getting into tech. So the next question is, how do you gain experience? Experience is probably the toughest thing to try and get in this industry, but it's the most beneficial thing to get because once you've got experience, boom, the world is your oyster. Go knocking on doors. My first ever work experience within tech was working for a hardware store, and I went from store to store to store to store begging for experience. So aside from knocking door to door, you can go on Indeed, Google Jobs, Glassdoor, LinkedIn. I was fixing old computers and I was helping out with customer problems. It's like an internet cafe, but then also a hardware shop. That's my first ever piece of work experience. Just ask for help. Look what's available in your area. If you can't do that, work on different case studies and projects to really fine-tune your skills. Start learning online. There are so many free resources on YouTube, on Udemy, Skillshare, etc., and begin to teach yourself so that you can create products. Even though you're not necessarily working for someone, in a way that is an experience. There are different case studies, there are ways that prove that you actually are capable of doing certain things, and then from there a lot of intern roles and entry-level jobs will be made available when you're able to walk through an employer or recruiter or whatever the work that you've done previously. Another way of gaining experience, again, if you're a bit younger as a student, placement years. I swear by placement years. If you're a university student, try your best to land yourself a placement that is related to the industry that you're trying to get into within tech. It's likely that your university has a bulletin of employers that are targeting students. That's the best way to gain experience. I worked a minimum wage job. We were working crazy hours. Like I'm talking, I was regularly getting home past 10 p.m. Like I was working my ass off. But it all paid off in the end. The way to gain experience is honestly just to accept being a beginner. The next question is, how do you get people to notice your work? By posting your work. The best way to get people to notice your work is just by being consistent in posting your work. One thing that works for me is I use social media a lot to my advantage. So that can be Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Behance, Dribble. Any social platform that you can post your work, I recommend posting your work and just being consistent in that. Let people know you for the work that you produce. One day, one piece that you do will just blow up. And it can attract different employers, it can attract public figures, it can attract business owners. Like the best way to get people to notice your work is just to put it out there. And then later on, honestly, down the line, word of mouth gets by very quickly. You never know who's really watching you. You never know who's been looking at your work for a long time and recommends you to other people. So that's what I would recommend. Also, I had been doing this before reading this book, but there is this book called Show Your Work by, I think, Orson Keon. It's amazing. It's very short, but it really does push you and propel you into that mind space of, I should just show my work. So the next question is, how did you create your resume as both a UX designer and front-end developer? I will go into this in so much detail later on if need be, but long story short, I just have experience in both things. When applying for jobs, if I wanted to apply for a developer role, I had 2 different CVs completely for different roles because they are very different. So if I want to focus on being design heavy, I will give a design heavy cover letter and CV. My portfolio is mostly the best of both worlds, but recently I realized that I wanted to do design. I wanted to make my resume mostly design focused because I wanted a role full-time 9 to 5 as a designer. So, but again, I can go into that in much more detail later on. Next group of questions are around computer science degrees. First question is, do I need a computer science degree? Who knows? It really depends on the individual. I did a computer science degree because I enjoyed computer science and university was the next step. In hindsight, I'm happy that I did that because I think that helped me to specialize. Before I wanted to be a software engineer full-time, I thought that I wanted to work in databases, before I wanted to work in AI. If you are not aware of what you want to do yet with your life, like a lot of university students aren't, it's good to get a degree that isn't so specialized and focused in one main thing because it allows you to explore. I also think it's beneficial to get a computer science degree because there's so much support. You have support from your professors, lecturers, the university body itself. You have the protections of being in a university bubble. You're with other people that are in the same boat as you. You have your libraries. You have access to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resources that would otherwise be really expensive. Another reason why I would recommend the degree is because of the accountability aspect of it. I think being self-taught is great, and so many people are so successful. Some of the best developers and designers I know are 100% self-taught. They did not go to university. But I think it also depends on willpower. Getting a degree obviously requires a lot of willpower too, but being 100% self-taught, everything is on your own systems and discipline. Do you need it? No, because there are so many success stories of people that did not get a computer science degree. Would I recommend it? Yes. If you didn't pick it, would it be the end of the world? No. The next question is, what courses did you do alongside your computer science degree? Honestly, so many. It was nothing that you needed to necessarily graduate from, but I did a lot of like intro into X courses or courses specifically related to the module that we were studying at the time. I had to get external help. So I enrolled in a lot of Udemy classes and Coursera classes, Skillshare, some YouTube series as well, where like a guy will go through making, I don't know, the Amazon storefront, and there's like 59 parts. But if I do find them, I'll link them. The next question is, I'm doing my computer science degree at the moment and I'm in 2nd year. I was wondering if you have any advice. I would say make friends with people in the year above you. When you have friends in the year above, these people will usually have their old coursework files or their old revision notes, and it's really beneficial when you are stuck, being able to ask someone who's already been there, done that, that knows the mark scheme, that knows those professors. It's so helpful, especially when you are stuck. So I think it's important to make friends on your course because you guys are in it together and you guys can go back and forth with each other and help each other out. But then also by having friends in the year above, they've already been there, done that. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by anyone because it's my first YouTube video. But yeah, get an iPad. I think it's so beneficial because you go through so much material. The way that I would do well in certain modules, I owe it a lot to my iPad because I would download the lecture before the lecture begins, so all the different lecture slides. I would download those lecture slides into my app and I'd put them through GoodNotes or Notability. I would annotate to the best of my understanding and sometimes even research the topic before the lecture. When I'm in that lecture or tutorial or whatever it is, seminar, when the lecturer is going over the material they've given you, you have a more in-depth understanding of it. And luckily, Notability and GoodNotes allow you to record, like actual voice record as you write. So beneficial. So if I'm stuck on something or I'm wondering, how did I get this calculation? I just click play and I hear my lecturer explain it and bing bang boom. It's super simple. So honestly, I just recommend getting an iPad, and it's less clunky. I barely use paper. I didn't need folders. I wasn't losing anything. Everything was on my iPad. So as I said before, I did different courses outside of my degree to help me understand certain modules. When I was not getting adequate help, because I'm somebody that did my degree during COVID, I did not rely on my professors at all. I utilized them, but I also made sure that I was studying outside of university. So I would say take your degree into your own hand. Do not just rely on the information that you've been provided. Go to a library, look up different resources. There are so many resources at your fingertips. Apply for your placements early. Placements usually open around like September, October, November. They can open super early. So get your placements quickly. I didn't do that. I was scrambling trying to find a placement around February time. I landed a placement in June. Very difficult, hectic, very crazy. But so yeah, I recommend doing a placement year. And if you are going to do a placement year, make sure that you apply quickly. Okay, so the next round of questions are surrounding being a front-end developer and a full-stack developer. The first question is, what does being a front-end developer entail? I work on developing UI, so I work on making screens functional. Let me go super simple. A text box. A designer can show what a text box looks like, but then a front-end developer will actually make that text box usable. A front-end developer makes sure that you can actually input text into that and make sure that that text is stored in storage and it can be retrieved or used later on. For example, a password. The next question is, I'm interested in learning web development. Do you know any online classes, or do you provide any online classes? I do not provide online classes. In terms of online classes to enroll in, Meta has a really good introduction to front-end development course, which I recommend, and I did a bit of it. I really did like it. So I would say do boot camps. If you don't want to do a boot camp, you can just go straight into trying to attempt different projects. Different projects that I recommend are doing things like create, read, update, delete. So things like recreating the Amazon storefront. I think I'll do a video on learning web development because that's my jam. It's not a straight answer, so I would love to do a whole video on web development. The next question is, I was wondering, as a front-end developer and UX UI designer, what code would you suggest I start off with? The big three is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then also, if you do want to dabble in UX UI, Figma is going to be your best friend. Being able to design something within Figma is a really great way of informing how to build your code. If you want to go down the more app side versus the website, Java, the end. The next question is, how did you learn how to code? I went to school for it. So I've been learning how to code since I was around 10 or 11. One thing that helped me with learning how to code is always asking for help, but then again, always taking my education into my own hands. If I found something difficult, I would research it myself and look it up online, get help where I can, and just constantly practice. The only way to get good at coding is to practice, and the only way to get well versed in an array of different coding languages is, again, just to practice. Once you know one language, you know them all. And I'm still learning how to code. It's not something that I think you ever finish learning how to do. So the next group of questions are about being a product designer, aka UX UI designer. They're basically the same thing, but there is a difference anyways. Let me not go off on a tangent. So the first question is, what resources would you recommend for somebody that wants to become a product designer? One thing I would recommend is YouTube videos. And also I think Figma has its own like Figma Academy. There are different workshops and boot camps and just general courses on understanding Figma. Ooh, another thing that I recommend is daily UIs. I signed up to the newsletter, and every single day you will get a notification for a UI to like try out, and I feel like it really pushes you to really flex that design muscle. Again, sounding like a broken record, I think I need to do a separate video on it. The next question is, how did you learn to get into design? Trial and error, honestly. It started off with Photoshop, then it moved into stuff like Sketch, Adobe XD, and now I'm a Figma girly. My UX side is mostly trial and error, and once I realized that I was in UX, I took it so seriously. I wanted to be a senior. So I decided to be very technical with my understanding, learning how to do things like auto layouts and making components and building my own libraries. So get clued up. That's what I did. I studied Figma. And the next question is, do you have a UX design portfolio? I can look at go to desolaalafia.com. You'll see it there. Next question is, I'm a beginner designer and I would love to learn. Do you have any tips? Try and get into the community of different designers. I think the design community on social media is dope, especially Twitter. Try and find a community of like-minded people, and good luck. Last set of questions are around productivity. How do you stay productive on your iPad? I use GoodNotes and Notability, notoriously GoodNotes. GoodNotes helps me stay very productive. I'm able to organize my things. It's also a planner to me as well. I create my own stencils to help me stay on track. What apps do you use to stay productive? Notion. Notion is great, especially when I have bigger things with larger scopes to think about. iCalendar or Google Calendar, because I like to section my time sometimes. Structured. I found that really beneficial whilst I was searching for a job because it helped me keep routine when I didn't have routines. Finally, the last question is, what do your routines look like? I have a solid morning routine and a solid nighttime routine. It is nighttime. I'm in a hotel. I'm here because of work, but usually my nighttime routine would consist of me getting dressed down into my pajamas, putting my hair in heatless curls, washing my face, praying, Bible study, read, conk out. But my morning routine consists of, I wake up, I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. Then I pray because I am a Christian, I'm religious. If I'm not too tired, I will do a Bible study. After I do my Bible study, I freshen up and I get ready to go to the gym, or I will do a home workout. After the home workout or the gym, I will shower. Immediately after I've showered and done my skincare and dental routine, I will read. And I specifically read 10 pages of a book. As long as I've done that, I feel like I've kind of ticked off my morning routine. That's the end of my Q&A. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube video. This is my first ever YouTube video, so hopefully it went smoothly. As I said before, I'm a designer and a developer, so on this channel, I really do want to dive into tech. And I hope you guys come back for more and subscribe and do all of those nice things. And I will catch you guys in my next video.